Welcome everybody to the NXT party for episode number 30 of NXT UK. I'm of course your host, the Rated R reviewer Stephen Osborne, joined as always by the General Jerry Slaughter.
Good evening, wrestling fans.
And tonight our special duo guests, we've got the holiday Chris Mace. How are you doing, Chris?
Yeah.
And we've got the simple man, Noah Foster. Noah, how are you?
Doing well, gentlemen. How are you?
We're good, especially coming off of this episode. This was a good episode.
Yes, it was. Our first show out of Phoenix. We were supposed to get 3 of them, I believe. So
now, basically all 3 of the matches we knew that we were going to get. Either, I think one of them we knew we were getting tonight, and then the other 2 we were going to get at some point during this 3-episode Phoenix crowd series. And we got all 3 tonight. We got Noam Dar versus Jordan Devlin. We got Jenny versus Mia Yim, and we got, I believe, Wolfgang versus Pete Dunne is the one that we knew was coming tonight.
Yeah.
And that was the main event, and we will get there. But first, Noah, how'd you like the show?
I enjoyed the show. It was a nice balance. It felt like it was easier to follow, and there was also more action given in each match, because in the last couple of weeks we had 4 matches and 5 matches. I was afraid we were going to push for 6. So I'm kind of glad they dropped it down to a nice neutral 3, and each match got about at least 15 minutes of in-ring action.
How about you, Chris? How'd you enjoy the show?
I enjoyed it. It was fast. The flow was fast paced. It was like easy to follow everything. I said a lot more entertaining than the last couple episodes to me.
Jerry, was this a better show than last week?
I do believe it was, but it's also the fact that they had something a little more different to prove it around this time, because it's a completely different audience that they're dealing with. Like, they actually, like, for anybody that was unfamiliar with the NXT UK brand, it was just there for, you know, the wrestling show. This actually gave them a little bit of a inkling on what's been going on, especially with the Toni Storm, Rhea Ripley, like, segment that started at the beginning. You got a little bit of storyline. You got to see like the champ in action. You got to see just what makes NXT UK great. So it was a good lead-off show for Phoenix.
My problem with the crowd here is that this show is being recorded at WWE Access for, I believe, the Royal Rumble.
Yep.
So you have got a choice of all of the fans that have come to see Access during those hours. Whittle those down to maybe NXT fans, maybe NXT UK fans, and then everybody else that's watching the show just happened by, and they're like, "Oh, wrestling live right now! Oh, let's go watch."
I was about to say, that's probably about 65% of the audience.
I'm sure some of them have shuffled in and out during the 3 hours that they spent to record this, because they also spent a couple hours. I don't know if it was the same day or what, but that's where they did the Worlds Collide tournament.
Yep.
Correct.
So this is not necessarily the same level of fun of a crowd as we would have at a UK event, especially in the acoustics of those buildings, those old halls.
Yeah.
However, that can be a good thing.
Yeah.
Because the UK crowds are so fun.
Obnoxious.
Yes. They're so fun that they can get to be obnoxious occasionally. But I don't think it brought down the level of the show as far as the performers and their performances.
Yes.
So we start off the show with Toni Storm doing an in-ring promo, and babyface Toni Storm. I'm gonna meet Rhea Ripley, and I'm gonna beat Rhea Ripley, and blah blah blah. I think she realized that her bangs were not cool.
Yeah.
And she's got them conveniently parted over on one side.
Yep.
Rhea Ripley, of course, is going to come out, and she does, and
calls her face stupid, calls her hair stupid, just calls her stupid in general. That's only because Toni Storm called her a bully. There's going to be some retaliation there.
Yeah, she's got to prove her that she's a bully, and then Toni Storm has to prove that she's the physical bully, because she's like, we've been talking too long, and then she tosses the mic down, and of course...
No, did this strike you as almost like very kind of heelish out of Toni Storm, just like to initiate the actual fight? Or do you think Rhea Ripley kind of had it coming? What's your standing on this?
It felt like a basic promo to me as if they're trying to promote, don't be a bully, be a star. Rhea, you're a bully. Tony, I hate you. Blah, blah, blah. This seemed kind of minimal to me because the bottom line is this. We know we got the match next week. I guess is their approach to building it. I feel like they could have done more with it. Maybe just give us video packages for both. But, man.
Well, this is wrestling. I don't really like them bringing up the term bully that often because some of these characters are supposed to be bullies.
Yeah.
And calling them a bully really doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
And Toni Storm looks just as bad. She's like, I kicked her ass once, I'm going to kick it again. And it's like, okay. Well, I mean, in that case, I mean, really when you think about it, all wrestlers are bullies because they are handling their personal situations in a physical manner to the amusement of us all.
So Chris, like has this changed your opinion on who's going to win that match, or do you have a set winner?
It's a toss-up. I could see either one winning at this point, just the way they've been building it. And then, like I said, that's just, oh, I don't like you for this and this and this, and then she just drops the mic and starts beating her. I think it should have been better if they would have kept on fighting a little bit longer and just Ripley just getting out of the ring and just walking away. If they would have put Bright Brawl to the back or something like that, that'd probably been a little more interesting that way.
Ripley, believe it or not, rolled out of the ring.
I mean, you could hear her.
Makes sense to me.
She said she's got her opportunity.
Yeah.
And so
I got my rematch.
I'm thinking this is going to happen, 2 weeks from now?
No, next week.
Next week. So next week we've got Rhea. Sorry, I keep saying Rhea. Rhea Ripley
well,
versus
it's got the
Toni
H
Storm.
in there. It makes it say Rhea.
I know, but I actually know that it's Rhea, and I keep forgetting.
That's all right.
I apologize, but
don't apologize. She's a badass. She can take it.
I'm terrible with names. Everybody should know this. For me, this made Rhea look like weak. Like
yeah, it did.
She ran off, and that's not the Rhea character that I've gotten to know when she was the champion. On her way to being the champion, she is a dominant heel.
Yeah,
and Toni doesn't look like the kind of woman, stature-wise, that should make Rhea cower.
It's kind of a weird dynamic because it almost seems like Shayna Baszler and her kind of switch personalities all of a sudden.
I could see her running away from Shayna Baszler.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
I just don't see her running away from Toni Storm.
No.
Toni Storm's a babyface anyway. Like, she shouldn't be doing things that she should have to run from unless it's in the ring.
And a jumper that looked like my fucking curtains.
Yeah.
About the last time these two got in the ring together, it was after Toni Storm came to save Candy Floss and Zara Brookside after Rhea came down to their match and attacked them. In the end, Rhea stood tall after taking Toni out.
Yeah. So that's almost about as nonsensical as Alistair coming out at the end of NXT last night. So.
The only argument I can make is that Rhea was protecting her physical well-being from maybe just a mishap.
Yeah.
Just an accident. Whatever it is, no point in getting physical now. I've got my match against you next week. So it's the only redeeming thing I can think to put to this.
But then we launch into our first match.
First match of the night, Noam Dar versus Jordan Devlin, and what a match.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, it's Jordan Devlin. I've kind of gotten used to him putting on these awesome matches. Throw in Noam Dar.
We see the greatest hits out of Jordan Devlin naturally in every match he's in, but at the same time, they don't get old. He changes them up where they are actually in the match itself. So
still same order. In this case, a little bit different, but we'll get into that. Chris, what did you think about this match?
I thought it was a damn good match. I thought it was interesting how they continued story with Travis Banks coming out there trying to prevent him from permanently injuring Noam Dar, and then actually when Devlin had his foot on the rope trying to get his feet off the ropes and then interfering so Noam Dar could actually win the match. But then after Devlin beat down Noam Dar, then he got in there and they brawled to the back. See, that was good because you had a good match. And then you were continuing that storyline with him and Travis Banks.
Absolutely. What about you, Noah?
I enjoyed it. Good back and forth bout. Both men are fighting for control, wrist control more likely in the very beginning. And then basically from there is back and forth. You had, I don't even know what you call that one move Noam Dar does, where he just turns around and spins and spins and spins and the
It's just weird backslide spin.
Yeah.
Backslide spin.
Devlin looked like he didn't know where he was after that. He was just so dizzy.
Yeah,
he was like,
he was
what
trying
the
to
fuck just happened?
disorientate him. And so I guess he did into the cover. But yeah, going back, playing off past history, Jordan Devlin, eventually he gets so frustrated to the point he tries to basically repeat the same thing he did Travis Banks. Travis Banks comes out with the save with a distraction. Doesn't get physical at this point, but you think he's gonna. And in the end, Travis Banks becomes the biggest factor in Jordan Devlin losing. So, again, I have to imagine that Jordan Devlin versus Travis Banks, they're going to face each other one-on-one again because of the last one-on-one encounter. It ended in counter and just continuous brawling. So, I'm looking forward to those two facing off against each other again.
I think it's going to be a street fight.
I'm thinking your street fight or like pretty much a Falls Count Anywhere match.
Something like that, yeah.
It's got to be one of those at this point.
What about you, Jerry? What did you think about this match?
Well, it initially wasn't holding my attention because Noam Dar usually doesn't. But then I also got to watch, what was it, Noam Dar versus Tony Nese the other day, and I actually was really enthralled by that match. And then all of a sudden now we're seeing him on NXT UK, so I'm like, okay, that works too, because we haven't seen him since like the first episode. So, and that was his loss to Pete Dunne. And to actually get to see him pull off a little bit different offense, and like Devlin took it like a champ, and so did he. So, and like they were saying, it just continued the storyline between Devlin and Banks. Even though I'm still not high on Banks. I'm just not.
Now this was a fun match, but there weren't too many spots of note. Like I started my notes at Devlin's Greatest Hits Part 1. That's the Uranagi into the standing moonsault. And then I believe he's added a second note to this because he's got this springboard cutter that he does that he calls the Irish Ace Cutter.
Yeah. Three or four times it's blurred out to us.
As if there was any other possible name for this move. So
I call it cut the deck.
They end up on the outside, and Devlin goes for that stomp onto Noam Dar's leg onto the steps, and this is where Travis Banks comes out to try and stop him from doing that, distracts him long enough that Dar dodges the stomp, and he ends up pulling Devlin off of the steps where Devlin comes down face first into the steps. And this turns it around, and eventually, we've got the interference by Banks. He's up on the apron. It ends up with Devlin kicking him off. Like, he takes a bump for this, but it was enough of a distraction that Dar gets a roll-up and the pinfall. But as he's, recovering / celebrating, we get Devlin come in for another, or an aftermatch beatdown.
Yeah.
So we get the backdrop driver, which I call the Greatest Hits Part 2.
Yep.
Where he does that ripcord pull-up into a deadlift belly-to-back driver, high-angle back. Oh,
still not as sick as Montez Ford from Tuesday night. But
wow.
Oh my God.
Ooh.
And then Banks attacks Devlin, and we get a brawl between the two of them to the back. So this continues their storyline, which is cool by me.
Mm-hmm.
Up next, we get a graphic. We have Cassius Ohno coming to NXT UK. And he's facing the one and only Walter versus Ohno in 2 weeks' time.
Oh, okay. Hold on a second. Noah's giggling.
Look, when I hear the name Walter, I know what to expect.
Pretty much.
Not much more needs to be said.
We did that giggle where we saw Jack Stars in the ring.
Going to be a good match, though. I believe Ohno is a pretty big guy, and right now I think he's in the best shape of his career that he's been in months, if not a few years. So I think we're going to get a really good match out of this.
All right, Chris. Since I guess we're calling Walter like the number one contender to Pete Dunne at this point. Is that pretty much what we're calling him at this point?
No, I'd call Mastiff the number one
contender.
That
was going to be my question to Chris. Other than Walter, who do you think would be actually considered number one contender right now in NXT UK?
Well, something it might have been Wolfgang, but see, based on what happened later on, I don't think it's going to be Wolfgang. That's what happened later on.
Spoiler alert. What about you, Noah?
I think, pretty much at this point, it's got to be Mastiff unless they do a swerve and do another on-screen UK Championship match and do like Ligero, who's got probably the most momentum right now besides Mastiff.
Yeah, but Ligero is probably 50-50 on wins and losses, both singles and tag team.
Yep.
So I would not...
So it's got to be Mastiff at this point.
Gotta be Mastiff. Why is nobody having this conversation?
It's like he's not even in the talks of it in any way, shape, or form. Plus, it'd be kind of a weird dynamic because Mastiff, yes, he's pretty much a face, but it looks like he could have a whole bunch of heel type tendencies if he wanted to, like especially if he's being overlooked at all. So
I could see that happening, but it requires seeing him, and I don't think we've seen Mastiff on TV in a few weeks.
Not since he faced the Wild Boar, I believe.
Yeah, that was last week.
No, I don't think that was last week. But
It was the
Wild Boar faced somebody last week, but it wasn't Mastiff.
It might have been last week actually, because last week was the one with 5 matches, I believe.
Yeah, it was.
It actually literally was last week. We've already traveled across the pond, and we're already forgetting about last week NXT UK. Wow.
Well, that's because they put on.
No, Mike Hitchman faced Joseph Connors last week.
Connors last week. So
I told you it wasn't last week.
It's been 2 weeks then.
Maybe I should get some more of those memory pills.
4 and then 5.
Alpha brain pills.
You're okay.
Okay, we're all in agreement that you're correct. Let's go.
So let's move on. Up next, we have Jenny versus Mia Yim, and this was okay.
It's pretty much what I was expecting because I'm a big Jenny fan. Even she's up there with Ripley for me at this point because I'm that high on Jenny. I love her attitude. I love her ring work. Just her demeanor and presence alone is just awesome. Mia Yim, I have no idea what to make of her. I don't like her.
To me, she just doesn't seem like she has any
kind of street credibility. I think she had got taken away with it by the HBIC moniker that she goes by.
Head baddie in
charge. The head baddie in charge. I was like, oh.
If you're not gonna let her say head bitch in charge, then don't let her say HBIC.
Pretty much.
Because they let Ronda Rousey say it on Raw.
Yeah.
This is NXT, baby. Like, you can label this TV 14 and keep anybody that's not supposed to hear her say bitch from saying it on the episodes that she does it.
Yeah.
Just saying. This is these streaming
it's
services.
Not live. Seriously. They can even just edit it. Just have her say the word bitch, but then bleep it. Like just have her at least mouth the word. But baddie, ugh.
Yeah. Cringeworthy, man. So there was some good spots in this match, mostly by Jenny. Like
of course.
That surfboard stretch that she's got that's beautiful.
The float over into that was what got me for it. So.
The float under.
The float under, yes.
Yeah. She goes to baseball slide through the legs.
That she performed, they seem seamless.
Oh yeah, she just slides right into them.
What do you think about this match, Chris?
Oh, Jenny's awesome. I said she should be the next one in line to face whoever wins between Ripley and Tony. She should be the next one in line. I liked her in the match. She was awesome in the match. I like how they did the ending where she just kicked her right in the face and went on there, did the heel tag, pinned her, had her feet on the rope, did the heel tag. She's one badass woman. I like her a lot.
That's a brilliant way to put it. What about you, Noah?
No nonsense fashionista once again shows, without a smile until the very end, why she is to be taken as a serious threat to the NXT UK Women's Championship, and truly probably the most pure heel, besides Rhea, on the women's roster in NXT UK. I absolutely love this match. From the digging of the claws, to her seamless transition to submissions, to the aggression she brought, to the fight she did take from me again, who had a few spots here. She did a tarantula. She had a free with some forearms, a clothesline, kicks, chops.
She attempted a tarantula.
But again, Jenny, she took control and she used a different tactic used by heel once in a while. Feet on the ropes.
Yeah.
That's what kind of sold. Like, I was already sold on the match in general because Jenny was in it. But the fact that she actually used a heel tactic to actually win the match only solidified the fact that, like, yeah, she is a heel. She's going to do whatever it takes to win, and that makes it that much more special when, she actually gets her title shot because she could easily take the belt either just using her wrestling know-how or just feet on the ropes or doing whatever else is at her disposal.
Get the tights.
Yeah, she also brought in some mean trash talk and slaps and face plants apparently too. So she didn't hold anything back.
Nope.
So all my notes are the end of this match. Jenny swings Mia's leg out from under her, and this
It's
swings
that
her
knee.
face into her knee, and that was just brilliant looking.
Very simple, but very seamless, and just looked nasty, and it was great.
But then somehow Yim turns it around, and she gets a German suplex into the turnbuckle, which was just sick looking.
Yeah.
Like Jenny immediately rolls to the outside, and for a second I think she's hurt. But
Nigel actually played it off like, oh, very smart move, rolls right out of the ring so she doesn't get pinned.
and then she gets back in the ring and catches Mia coming in with a kick to the face. This lays her out just beside the ropes, and she rolls her up with the feet on the ropes and gets the pinfall.
Yeah, you have to kind of wonder, though, especially with that ending, if maybe it was rushed that way, because maybe Jenny actually did get hurt by that maneuver, and they had to finish it off real quick.
Maybe.
Probably.
I didn't even think about that until you actually said that, but yeah, that could possibly be why the match ended so abruptly and was such a weird finish, I think, because it was kind of like...
You were just praising the finish because she gets to use the heel
yeah,
tactics.
but it was anticlimactic in that in a way with the kick, you know, like it just kind of came out of nowhere.
I don't know. I don't think this match would have gotten any better quality if it had gone on for 5 more minutes.
Yeah.
So this was a fine ending to me. I do hope that neither one of them got injured, of course. But
Oh yeah.
That always comes first, yeah.
so next up, we find out that next week we are going to get a tag match. We've got Mark and Joe Coffey finally in as
First
a tag
time
team
together.
facing Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Mandrews. So that ought to be a fun fucking match. Let's predict it. I actually call Webster and Andrews for the win because I think they're going to tell a story of all of these losses starting to get to Gallus. Gallus is kind of on a losing streak, and I don't think one win in this fashion would help that, but I think a loss might further the story
Yeah.
better than a win would. What about you, Noah? What do you think?
Well, I'm kind of thinking about how Flash, Morgan Webster, Mark Andrews, how their tag team was used in the storyline with Fabian Eichner and Marcel Bartel.
Yeah.
And you're right, because at first they got the best of them, and in the end, Marcel Bartel and Eichner, they got the best over them in their ending, like 3-match feud with them. So I can definitely see this being a long-standing story with Gallus basically reaching a breaking point with the number of losses they might get. But, yeah, I got to go with Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster winning this first bout.
What about you, Chris?
I think Gal's going to lose. I think they're going to just continue that story, and they're going to eventually end up breaking up, maybe having an explosion before their next takeover. So what I'm thinking is going to happen the way everything's going right now.
Like Wolfgang has
It
to
also
find a
leads
partner.
to that so-called ring comp versus Gallus match that we want too. Because if they lose
they're
these
definitely
guys,
not going to win that.
they might go after Walter.
What about you,
Yeah.
Jerry?
Well, that's my mentality about this. Like, the main story for me right now with Gallus isn't with Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster. It's with ring comp, more or less, or at least Walter at this point. So
Yeah.
this match almost feels like a filler match for me, just so the Coffey brothers could wrestle in Phoenix. But at the same time, I think the Coffeys are going to walk away with the win. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just I'm still not too high on Flash Morgan Webster, and I can see him getting pinned in the match. But I'm going to have to give it to Gallus on this one. Chances are that sick-looking clothesline onto Flash Morgan Webster.
So next we have the main event. We've got Wolfgang versus Pete Dunne, and who didn't know how this was going to turn out? I mean, it's fucking Pete Dunne, man.
But it was also non-title, so it could have gone either way.
Yeah, I think I said that last week. So why don't you go first, Jerry? What do you think about this match?
It was pretty much everything I was expecting. At least Pete Dunne winning. But with Wolfgang, we actually got to see a little more offense out of him, and he actually held up a lot better than I thought he was going to. And sure enough, I'm a Wolfgang fan. I've been since like the what was it like first or second NXT UK that he was on. He's a solid wrestler. He's a solid in-ring performer. He's got a cool entrance. He does that cool howl with the W, like very Wu-Tang-ish. And but I get a good vibe off of him. And he's doesn't really come off very heelish, but at the same time he's with like the biggest heel faction right now in NXT UK. So he's a great solid performer, but he's no Pete Dunne. Nobody's Pete Dunne.
This is true. What about you, Noah? What did you think about this match?
I enjoyed it. We already knew what the outcome was going to be. The last time these two faced each other one-on-one in a capacity was on NXT a couple years ago, I believe. And I believe that was actually for the title. But again, this being a non-title bout, and Pete Dunne, 600-plus days, he was not going to lose this match. I didn't see Wolfgang becoming number one contender. Good back and forth. Wolfgang, I think, showed a lot here versus his last match. You're right, Jerry. He really is good in the ring. Dunne selling a lot of the power moves that Wolfgang gave him with the heavy breathing, especially being draped over the ropes.
Yeah.
Wolfgang selling his arm and his leg. Good back and forth match overall, but the ending, the usual.
Yeah. What about you, Chris?
I thought it was a damn good match. I liked how everything was going. I was hoping Wolfgang would pull off that win, though, because I was wanting to see that feud maybe continue a little bit. Maybe him get a title match, give him Pete Dunne something else to do in the meantime until he gets to the point where he ends up facing Walter. So Wolfgang was my pick to become number one contender. I was hoping he was going to win, but that didn't happen. But it was a good match. I liked the back and forth action they had.
That would have been a hell of a surprise right there, especially for the Phoenix crowd. Like who have actually like was walking into that match actually thinking, Wolfgang's going to pull this one off. That'd be just insane. But at the same time, this is also a lot of people's introduction to Pete Dunne, the NXT or the WWE UK.
Yeah, you want to make him look strong.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, of course, it made Pete Dunne look strong, but do you think it made Wolfgang look strong, Chris?
I think it made Wolfgang look strong because he was holding his own. I mean, Pete Dunne was breaking him down and everything, but Wolfgang was holding his own for a little while. He was hanging in there with them, doing all his power moves and stuff. I mean, to me, it looked like it helped build Wolfgang up a little bit, too, as more of a threat.
Kind of like Mark Coffey did with Walter, or Walter did what Mark Coffey did last week, because up till then I didn't really see much in Mark Coffey, and sure enough, we finally got to see a lot more out of him, and that was because he was in a match with such a huge competitor in fact Walter.
Dunne was a complete ring general in this match.
Oh,
his ring IQ is ridiculous. My first note here is just a series of moves that he does that look so calculated, it's ridiculous. And I don't mean like non-kayfabe, kayfabe calculated. Okay, so he goes off the middle rope to a drop kick, but he drop kicks Wolfgang's knee out from under him. So this is where he's going to start working on the knee. And then Wolfgang catches an attempted kick by Dunne, but that was so that Dunne could catch him with a right hand to the face, and then rolls under him, rolls him into a leg lock that's backed by the fact that he just drop kicked his knee out from under him. So this forces Wolfgang to crawl to the ropes, and Dunne looks like he's not trying to prevent him from this. And he's not, because his goal is to get Wolfgang to grab the ropes and then get up real quick and kick his left hand off the ropes. Now he's working on the left arm.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Larry Zbyszko used to say it all the time, human chess. That's what a lot of wrestling is, and Pete Dunne is extremely good at it.
So, Dunne follows this up, and then he, of course, goes for that forearm stomp that I like to call the Baszler stomp because she does it so much better. I don't know why, but where he's got it, the opponent, he's got Wolfgang's arm like this, and then he stomps up here, and God, that looks like it hurts.
We should try it sometime to see how well it works.
But he follows that up. He goes for an armbar submission, and I believe we lost Chris for a moment. He goes for an armbar submission, and he jumps onto Wolfgang to do this almost a Kimura lock, but not all the way around.
Yeah.
And Wolfgang counters that, though. He picks up Pete Dunne and drops him over the top rope.
I hate to kill the moment.
His power.
I hate to kill the moment, but Noah looks so lonely up there now.
I wonder if we can get Chris back. So we have lost Chris Mace. The holiday has gone on holiday, but we're not going to let that get us down or hold us back. We are going to finish the match. I mean, we were almost done with the show anyway. So my notes I've left off after Pete Dunne getting dropped over the top rope, and then Dunne comes back. He bounces Wolfgang off the ropes, like front side, and follows up with a German suplex into a bridge. I believe he gets a near fall for this. Just awesome looking. Snap German.
Yeah.
And then Dunne does this kick to the back of Wolfgang's head. Like, Wolfgang went for a belly to back drop, and Dunne lands on his feet, and Wolfgang's like sitting up, and Dunne just kicks his head off. And then follows that up with an X-Plex for a near fall. And then Wolfgang counters a triangle by Dunne by picking him up and doing a buckle bomb. That was nice.
Yep.
And then while Dunne's sitting up, he does a running, like, this horizontal senton. And I think he might have gotten a near fall off that.
Yeah.
He did.
And then Wolfgang does this, first time I've ever seen this move. Awesome looking move. I called it an inverting vertical suplex. So he picks him up by kind of doing the pretzel wrap on the legs, sort of like I believe Kenny Omega does when he picks people up for the angel driver or whatever it is.
One ring angel.
So when he picks him up, it actually turns him around in mid-vertical, and he drops him with a cutter, which was awesome looking.
It took me a second to register what had happened, because like the move was so, like, I won't say innovative, but it looked a lot more different than what we were used to.
I feel like a bigger guy, a more powerful guy, like, say, a Bobby Lashley, if he executed a move like that, would just look devastating. Especially if he pulls it out from under him halfway during the vertical to make it look like an RKO, you know, coming down 2 or 3 feet.
Yeah.
Following RKO.
Yeah, that would be crazy. Dunne hits a superplex, and Wolfgang gets a lung blower. Somehow he gets back into it, hits a lung blower for a near fall, and then he goes up top for what he calls the howling, which is a swanton bomb, and Dunne counters it. He grabs him up for an arm bar, but before the arm bar, wishbone on the fingers, snaps those, and Wolfgang starts tapping before the arm bar is even, like, extended.
Yeah.
That's how bad that wishbone hurts. And that brings us to the end of the main event.
Yep.
And around here, we rate the main event of the show using NXT, good old NXT. So Noah, as our final remaining guest, how out of 5 spots of NXT, knowing you can go negative, I don't believe this match is a negative. I doubt you do as well. But then again, you never know. How many spots of T do you give this main event?
The day NXT UK main event goes negative is the day Triple H died and Vince took over. Lord help.
Wow, yeah, for real.
That being said, I enjoyed the match. We already knew what the outcome is, but Wolfgang brought a lot to the table. I feel like the story here is you're seeing where Gallus stands. You're also seeing what Pete Dunne can still bring as he continues on this incredible modern-day title reign. I also like how at one point not only you, but commentary called him the ring general. That play words again towards the inevitable match with Walter, which I'm really looking forward to. As far as this main event, I enjoyed it. It's a 4.25 for me.
Not bad.
Well, I got Chris on the horn, actually just kind of texting him, and he gave the match a 3.5, which I think is like pretty fair for that. But he also was going to drop a little knowledge on us while he was here, but he didn't get a chance to because, well, Pete Dunne is number 5 of all time and days with any male WWE title in the history of WWE at this point.
Wow.
Number 5. So that's actually pretty impressive. And thanks for like giving us that knowledge, Chris. And I'll still be sure to plug you at the end of the show.
I think he's like 1/6 of the way to Bruno Sammartino.
Oh yeah.
Maybe 1/5. 20%.
Yeah, I'd say about that. Because Bruno Sammartino was like, what, 10 years?
So what does the general rate this match in spots of T?
I give it a 3.5 as well. Because, like, granted, it was already going to be a 3 because Pete Dunne was in it. That already makes it middle of the road, because it already makes it awesome by the fact that he just has a match. The entrance alone for him gets a 3. You know, he's got that kind of energy to him. But then we also have, it's coming off the back of a good show, and it made Wolfgang look good. Like, Wolfgang is one of those, like, wrestlers that we see, like, time and time again. Sometimes in goofy get-ups, like, backstage during a vignette or something. But at the same time, this is the first time we've actually seen him be a viable threat to a championship. And like, granted, I didn't walk into this match thinking Wolfgang was going to win. If anything, possibly by disqualification. That's the only reason why I think I bumped it down a little bit, was the fact that there was really no title implications in this match. The only person who stood anything to lose in this match was Wolfgang. So, but all in all, the action was great on it, and the moves were great. We got to see submissions, we got to see power moves, we got to see the whole shebang. So yeah, 3.5, middle of the road.
It was a pretty good match. I was thinking maybe 3.5, but you know me, I love the story, and I didn't really see any story at all in this match.
Yeah.
There's not really any story building into this match other than Wolfgang's a part of Gallus, and they want Pete Dunne, they want the title, and somebody's got to get some gold. Other than that, I mean, I don't see any story, so I'm actually going to give this 3.25 spots of tea.
So still middle of the road. We have 3.25.
It's better than middle of the road. I would say middle of the road is 2.5.
Yeah.
Halfway between 0 and 5. So I'm gonna give this 3.25 because I mean it was good and it was borderline great of a match, but there was no story there, and there was no story at the end. Nobody came down to beat down Pete Dunne. He just stood tall and. It was all right. I mean, good show.
Well, I was about to say you have to do a Pete Dunne shrug if you're going to say
Well, yeah, I mean, you gotta do the Pete Dunne, because you know that's what Pete Dunne does. Like, another match, I won. I already knew I was going to win. But again, I like Wolfgang brought something different with this match versus his last encounter, which is why I was a little more generous to him. But I also understand where you're coming from as far as the story goes. And interpretation to your gold term. I'm just waiting to see if NXT UK gives us something similar to, I don't know, the North American Championship.
You know me, I'm always a fan of more championships, as long as they don't go like ridiculously overboard, where literally everybody's got a title. But I feel like
the honorary mention belt.
I feel like if there's a hole in a mid-card title would be the hole in NXT UK right now. They're not big enough to need women's tag team championships.
What would you call a mid-card title there? Because you have you actually could have an NXT UK champion if you wanted to. Because you don't really have you only have the WWE UK champion.
Yeah. And then they'd merge the belts, and then they'd just be the NXT UK.
I feel like the only logical name at this point is European.
Bring back the European Championship.
Yep.
Bam.
Exactly.
Done.
DUNNE done.
Same. I don't even think you should change the title plate. Just same belt, so everybody remembers it.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Brilliant idea.
Just have like Regal bring it over to Saints. Like, here you go.
Finally, Mastiff will get a title opportunity.
It needs to happen.
So. That brings us to the end of this episode of the NXT Party. And I want to thank you, Noah, for being on, and drop us with the plug, brother.
Anytime, guys. Always a pleasure. We are No DQ NXT team. But to all of you that don't know, us or me, I'm just a simple man and a lifelong fan of wrestling. So if you want to follow me and talk about anything wrestling beyond the big four, WWE, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact, Ring of Honor, heck, even the new up-and-coming AEW. Look me up on Twitter, NoDQ.com/Noah. Takes you to my Twitter page. If you want to check out monthly wrestling unboxings and pay-per-view predictions, WWE and Beyond, you can look at my YouTube channel, Simple Noah. Just go to youtube.com/users /Noah Fawcett 210. All one word, no space. Also, check out NoDQ.com here on YouTube. Here on Twitter, anyone on Facebook, and they have their own website, and they have everything, folks. They got predictions, they got polls, they got memes, humors, opinions,
and
everything
t-shirts.
under the sun.
And t-shirts.
Yep, and I'll get into that. Thank you, sir. Also, guys, you want some merchandise, like we're wearing? Go buy a shirt. NoDQ.com/shirts. Your name might be on here. There's over like 30 different designs. I think I got like 10 at this point. I'm waiting on the next sale to get your shirt, Wizard, and go from there.
Awesome. It's orange.
Also, check out our Spotify playlist, #TeamNoDQ. There's near 5,000 songs on it. Everything from probably the Ring Comp theme to Wiz Khalifa to Wu-Tang Clan to Pearl Jam and more. And also check out the new series I started with NoDQ now called 205 Live Match, where I discuss 205 Live every week. Sometimes with a friend, sometimes just with myself. You know, all depends.
Nothing wrong with playing with yourself.
Folks, yeah. But as always, folks, regardless of all this, just remember this term. Support your wrestling outlets, both big and small, and let's keep growing this wrestling community together. Simple as that.
You gotta love those pre-show talents.
Yes. Well, thank you guys for joining us for a spot of NXT. And if you'd like to be up on the big screen and join us to review an episode of NXT UK, you can find me on Twitter. Just go to nodq.com/Stefan. That's STEFAN. Or if you just want to look me up on Twitter, it's at Stefan R. Osborne, OSBORNE. As always, the R stands for restricted. And you can find this gentleman on Twitter as well.
At NoDQ General, and also on my Facebook group Armbar, all capital, ARMBAR, exclamation point. Join us for discussions. Find Stephen or I. We can go. You go ahead and get you in the group. And if you want to follow Chris Mace on Facebook, you can follow him under Chris Edward Mace, and that's his only plug. So
there you go. So if you like this video, you should click the like button. That's underneath me. If you like all of our videos, you should probably click the subscribe button underneath Jerry. And if you'd like to get these videos early, something like 12 hours early on average, we post them first onto Aftermatch Wrestling. That's all one word, AFTERMATCH Wrestling. And we're at 32 subscribers, I believe.
We got
now.
2 more?
We got 2 more.
All right.
We are well on our way to 100. And at
Cha-ching.
100 subscribers, we will start doing these videos live. So hopefully we get a few viewers and we can get some questions from you guys, the NoDQ Galaxy. In the meantime, drop any questions you have down below. If you would like to be on the show and you don't have Twitter or Facebook, let us know in the questions or in the comment section down below how we can get a hold of you. Email works fine. As long as you've got Skype and we can work around the schedules, it's all good. We will do so. We are looking for some new faces up on the screen so we can talk about NXT UK.
Spread the gospel.
Yep. Well, thank you everybody for having a spot of NXT with us. And for the simple man Noah Foster, for the General Jerry Slaughter, I am of course the Wizard of NoDQ Stefan Osborne. And thanks for having a spot of NXT with us. And we will see you NXT time.
Have a good night.
Cheerio.